Got it.
So are you open at this point to being the founder of a new startup, the first hire of a startup that's not yours, where you get some equity, or an employee on a salary? Are those all things you're considering?
Yeah. Well, I just took a full-time job. So I just joined a company full-time. So I joined Hi-Ho, the brand that I was telling you about. I joined them full-time. I was thinking, I think like that was maybe took some, maybe that took some realization of like, would I be okay not being the CEO and not being the founder of something new?
They're a pre-revenue startup though, right? So I assume you're getting some ownership even as an employee?
Yep. Okay. This was an interesting exercise. That was a friend of mine, Lindsay, who works at Universal Music. We were having lunch and I was telling her, I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I'm going to consult and figure it out. And she said, if you are open to working for somebody, and I said, I definitely am. I'm like, to me, the idea of not being the CEO is like, yes, sign me up, sign me up. Maybe I think I will start another company eventually, but in terms of running the whole thing, I'm excited not to be doing that right now.
Yeah.
I'm not in the headspace to do it, but she said, think about like, who are the 3 or 4 people that you would love to work for, like dream people. And I came up with that list, and one of them was the CEO that I'm now working for. So Greg Spiridelis, he created Jib Jab back in '99. If you remember, Jib Jab was like the political cartoons, and then starring you, having your head on different cartoons
for
greeting
Christmas
cards.
Elf card where you're dancing around.
Oh yeah,
you know Jib Jab. You've gotten Jib Jab.
Yeah. He created Elf Yourself, which was with Office Max. So they created that for Office Max for like, you can become an elf. Then he created a show called Storybots with his brother, which is on Netflix, which is like it's like a Sesame Street for kids. It's like Sesame Street for the new generation, and Netflix just acquired and bought that, including all the properties and the characters. So Greg is like, he was an advisor to Wisecrack. He's someone I've admired forever. I mean, he was an advisor to Bazaar Voice, the company before. A kind, amazing, creative soul. And so like when he told me what he was building, it just all clicked. Like looking back at that book that I had worked through, that Designing Your Life book, it was like, I want to learn a ton, and I do want to get back into app development. I want to get into more consumer technology. I want to learn tech. I want to be connecting with tons of creators and interesting people. I want to work with a great team. Like it checked every single box, and hopefully this job will also take me back to London. The idea being that I help expand the product into the UK and into Europe and Asia. So it just like, it checked every box that I wanted. So I'm thrilled, but it took like a year of reflecting on like, just like a post-mortem of all that, you know, that those 8 or 9 years of Wisecrack and that whole journey to get there.
So you had some yes checks, like I want this. What were the mistakes? You did your post-mortem. You're coming through the other side. Yeah. People watching now, I imagine, have not entered and exited. Any like words of wisdom, even Ben and I, who haven't
things
exited.
you wish you'd done differently, or advice for people who are becoming entrepreneurs or who are early stage entrepreneurs?
Man, that is a hard question.
I know it's a broad one.
It's big.
I hear one that I don't, and I guess we mentioned it, but and again, tell me if you don't agree. But it sounds like you because you didn't have like this clear vision, and Ben asked earlier, like, what did you want from it? It became about survival on sometimes a day-to-day basis. And sometimes you made decisions that signed you up for long-term consequences that you didn't want. Like I have this, these investors that, they're great, but like they're my boss now. And, so perhaps I'm just suggesting without that clarity of like, what is this business for beyond putting food on my table day to day? It's just easy to get sucked into what keeps me alive today. And I don't know if that resonates.
No, that's exactly right. As I was thinking about this conversation today, I think I was trying to think through what would be the words of wisdom. And I think so much of what happened once we're on a roll, like once we've raised money, or once we even have traction, once we decide that we're going to do this thing, so much at that point just becomes about momentum and gravity doing its work, right? Yeah. Like it's at that point you become, at least maybe because of my lack of experience, I became a slave to the sort of the momentum and the pressure and the decisions that we made determined the outcome and determined our course for a long time. And so of course we were adjusting along the way, but so much of it was based on what we had to do. And I do wish that Jared and I had spent more time maybe thinking through these things philosophically and making those hard calls early on about what we wanted it to become, where we wanted to grow. If things forced us to go down a path of having to make compromises or having to do advertising, like how would we react? It would be really cool to kind of preempt a lot of that. But I would have I would have looked. We both of us would have felt ridiculous planning for stuff like that when Jared had $500 left in the bank.
Sure.
Like it would have been ridiculous. Like it was. Yeah, so it's hard to say. And I started Wisecrack, I think when I was 26 or something when I moved over here. So it's just a different time. We were younger. Jared was even younger than that, I think 24 or something. So we were young, and I'm so happy we did it. I'm so happy we did it, because had we thought too much about it, the caveat on that, the other side of that is you have inaction, so there's inertia and you just don't do anything. Totally. And so I think the mantra for Jared and I was just make stuff, just make shit, and you'll figure out the rest. And we did that. So it's hard to say, right? Like looking back, it's always like pros and cons. I would say, I think the question that Ben had asked me beforehand is like, what type of person should go make a YouTube channel, and what kind of personality does it take? And I think going in with open eyes about what that really requires is important. Was it cool for sponsors to send us free stuff? As an example, I have my mother's loves watching like makeup YouTube, and she's like, God, these people get all this free crap. That's so cool. I'm like, okay, yes, it is cool to get whatever free headphones and free whatever gifts or whatever sponsor stuff. That is one tiny portion of the responsibility that comes with it. Once you launch the YouTube channel, once you're on a roll, the truth is that you have to upload pretty much 1 to 3 times per week, at least every week for the rest of your life, or the rest of the life of the channel, if you want it to be successful. And that is, that's a big burden, and that's, there are no weeks off. There are no vacations. And so you have to be kind of going in with open eyes, knowing that's going to be the requirement. So,
I don't know. I try to be the outlier there, and we still have done one a week, but I looked at people like CGP Grey and people. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah, there's a few.
If you look at the line of success, you're right. Like the average is exactly what you described. Like all the big guys, they have to upload daily, and they're on a grind, and burnout is 99%. But I've always been interested in the one guy who breaks the rule, and I think that there is potential for that out there. The CGP Greys, the not that we're totally that, but we've taken time off.
How did CGP get his audience? Because I think for us, we grew making videos once a week, and then altered that once we had an audience and momentum.
Nerd City, I mean, these people, what they do is, and I'm not recommending it to everyone, but what you're saying is like, look, if you want to be successful on YouTube, the playbook is what you're saying. Crank videos out that are popular, at least 1 a week, and probably 2 or 3 times a week. No denying that.
It depends how many mouths there are to feed too, right? Like when we look at Vsauce, they are more of a company, and they've also launched a product. They've launched a box service, right? It's like a monthly box, like a Loot Crate type thing, and that helps support them. CGP Grey is just one guy in London, and he's. But I don't know. Yeah, his audience is incredibly fanatical and incredibly loyal, and there are some exceptions like that.
He makes great stuff.
No, sorry. I'm just saying, how did he get the first 10,000 people to see it?
We have to have him on the podcast.
I don't know. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you know the answer to that question?
Because that's the hard part. Like once you have an audience, Logan Paul can literally take 8 months off to train for a fight, come back and get more views on his video than any video we do. But post it every single day for an extended period of time to build the audience. Sure. So I'm just curious, how do these people who only post once a month get started?
That's a good question. Yeah. Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.